Outlander fans, what if I told you that everything you've seen since Season 1 has been hiding a secret carved in stone? Humming beneath every time jump, every miracle, and every heartbreak Claire has ever lived through. For years, we've watched the stones at Craigh glow, whisper, and pull our favorite characters through centuries. But what if those reactions weren't random at all? What if every hum, every vibration, every flicker of light was actually a coda, silent message the show has been dropping piece by piece across all 7 seasons? Today on SugarBee, we're breaking open the mystery no one has fully explained. Welcome to Outlander Season 8, the hidden stone codes you missed in every season. By the end of this deep dive, you'll never look at the stones the same way again. What if the stones were never just portals, but storytellers? What if they've been warning Claire, guiding Jamie, and shaping the Fraser family's destiny since the very beginning, and we simply never put the clues together? Season 8 isn't just the end, it's the decode, and everything we thought was coincidence, it might have been a message. From the very first moment Claire touches the standing stone at Craigh in Season 1, the audience is swept into a world that feels ancient, powerful, and deeply mysterious. But beneath the chaos of her sudden journey, beneath the screams of wind and the blinding swirl of light, there is a detail most viewers never fully noticed: the sound. That strange, vibrating hum she hears isn't a simple noise. It isn't just magic happening. It is layered, textured, almost like 2 distinct frequencies intertwining, one that feels like it's pulling her in, and another that feels like it's questioning whether she should be allowed to enter at all. This isn't a random sound design choice. It's the first clue. If you rewatch the moment carefully, the hum shifts the second Claire moves closer. It sharpens, as if sensing her presence. Then, just before she is pulled into the past, the frequency softens, almost like a sigh of acceptance. It's the sonic equivalent of a door unlocking. And when you understand that, the entire scene changes. It's no longer a woman stumbling into time travel. It's an initiation. This chapter explores the idea that the stones do something far more complex than simply open portals. They scan travelers. They assess them. They read them. And only after this ancient evaluation do they decide whether a person is allowed to pass. With Claire, their reaction is extreme. Her first pull is wild, frantic, almost violent. She isn't gently transported, she is seized. Like the stones are grabbing her out of time with an urgency that borders on desperation. But why? Why would the stones react to Claire with such intensity? Because Claire isn't just another traveler. She is one of the rare individuals whose presence changes history. And the stones seem to know that. When Claire touches the stone, it's as though the portal had been waiting for her. The way the light flickers, the burst of wind that erupts through the clearing, the sudden shift in the atmosphere, everything feels alive. The stones aren't reacting, they're responding, they're choosing her. Later seasons give us even more hints. When other characters approach the stones, like Brianna, Roger, and Mandy, the hum they hear is different. Sometimes higher, sometimes softer, sometimes almost warning. But Claire's first experience remains the most dramatic, because she is the first piece in a larger pattern, a traveler whose very existence impacts both the past and the future. This choice, the stones selecting Claire, sets everything in motion. Every heartbreak, every reunion, every historical twist, every danger she narrowly escapes. All of it traces back to this single moment in Season 1 when the stones recognized her, scanned her, and decided she was meant to step through. The truth becomes clear. The stones didn't just allow Claire to travel, they wanted her to. And this whispering, humming choice marks the beginning of the hidden codes that Outlander has been weaving ever since. Season 2 marks the first time the show quietly exposes a deeper truth about time travel. One that only becomes obvious when you go back and rewatch it with fresh eyes. The stones aren't simply reacting to Claire emotionally, they're reacting to something entirely unprecedented happening within her. And that moment occurs during one of the most heartbreaking periods of her life. When Claire returns to the stones at Craigh while pregnant with Jamie's child. The energy around her shifts instantly. What seems, on the surface, like a dramatic emotional scene becomes far more meaningful when you focus on the sound design and the visual cues. The hum is no longer a soft vibration or an eerie melody. It's sharp, jagged, almost like static breaking apart. It pulses irregularly, as if the stones themselves are anxious. Why? Because Claire is carrying something the stones have never encountered before: a child connected to 2 timelines, 2 bloodlines, and 2 potential destinies. This unborn baby isn't just another traveler. The child represents a kind of temporal paradox. created in the past, meant to be born in the future, yet still tied to a lineage stretching back centuries. The stones don't understand it, but they recognize it, and that recognition triggers the very first stone code. A rule that the show reveals so subtly most fans never caught it. The stones don't just decide who can travel, they also decide when someone should travel. As Craigh approaches, the stones pulse like a warning beacon. They're not rejecting her, but they're not pulling her through either. That hesitation becomes the earliest sign that the stones are far more than supernatural portals. They're Watcher's guardians operating on rules far older than any human legend. In this moment, they act almost like an alarm system detecting something anomalous in the timeline. And this anomaly is Craigh's child. You can even see the conflict visually. Craigh, overwhelmed by grief and desperation, reaches for the stones as if begging them to take her back. But they don't respond the way they did in Season 1. Instead, their energy flickers. The sound rises, then cuts out, then rises again like something struggling to calibrate. The stones aren't malfunctioning. They're weighing possibilities. This is the first clue that the stones are not only conscious but also bound by certain temporal laws. Craigh isn't alone, she's two lives in one body, two destinies, two chronologies. And that breaks the rules. What's even more intriguing is that the stones respond differently after Craigh loses the baby. The humming changes. It softens. It stops fighting. As devastating as this moment is emotionally, it also reveals something crucial to the lore. The stones were resisting because they weren't designed to move a traveler who is carrying a timeline-split child in losing faith. Craigh unknowingly realigns with the natural order. The stones enforce. And this is the moment she begins bending the rules. Rules the stones will continue reacting to in every season that follows. When Craigh returns to Craigh, done after 20 long years to find Jamie, everything about the experience feels different, quietly, mysteriously transformed. Gone is the frantic tug she felt in Season 1. The chaotic pull that snatched her out of one life and hurled her violently into another. Instead, the stones seemed to exhale around her, their hum low and steady, like a rhythm matching her heartbeat. The air feels warmer. The vibration feels familiar, almost welcoming. It's as if the stones recognize something they have been waiting to sense again. This shift isn't accidental. It is intentional. Season 3 reveals, without saying a word, a new layer of how the stones think, how they choose. And everything points toward one groundbreaking truth. The stones respond to emotional destiny. For 2 decades, Craigh has lived in a world where she walks, breathes, and raises her daughter. But she does not belong. Her soul has been suspended, pulled between 2 eras and 2 loves, but only one of them feels like her true timeline. When she returns to the stones, she isn't escaping anymore. She isn't panicking or lost. She's ready, fully aligned. Her heart, her intention, her grief, her longing, every part of her finally points toward the same direction, and the stones feel it. This is where the bonded heartline theory emerges, a code hidden in plain sight. It suggests that the stones aren't reacting to mere physical presence or genetic ability. They're responding to the emotional alignment of a traveler's soul. When someone approaches the stones with hesitation, fear, or confusion, the stones react unpredictably. But when someone approaches anchored in clarity, emotionally bonded to someone or something across time, the stones become gentle, almost supportive. This explains everything about Craigh's second major crossing. The pull is not forceful because Craigh is not being taken. She is being guided. Season 3 shows us that her return to Jamie isn't just an act of love. It's the fulfillment of a path the stones recognized from the very beginning. The hum around her feels like recognition. The vibration beneath her hands feels like acceptance. For the first time, Craigh steps into time, the way she steps into a home she has longed for, knowing she belongs, knowing what waits for her on the other side, knowing the universe is no longer resisting her choices. And the stones respond with that same clarity. There is a brief moment when Craigh closes her eyes, breathes deeply, and touches the stone with a calm that she never possessed before. This calm is mirrored in the energy of the stones. They open not with urgency, but with purpose. Their sound fades from a chaotic roar into a steady tone, almost musical, like a doorway opening itself because she finally carries the key it has been waiting for. She isn't fighting time anymore. She's stepping into the life that matches her heart. And the stones acknowledge this bond by offering her the smoothest, quietest passage she has ever experienced. Season 3 marks the first time the stones behave not as a barrier or a test, but as a guide, revealing a new code written deep within their ancient energy. When the heart is aligned, the path opens without resistance. By the time Seasons 4 and 5 arrive, the The stone mystery is no longer limited to Craigh na Dun. The story expands across continents from the Scottish Highlands to the rugged American colonies and, with it, the stones begin to speak in new ways. Their voices grow louder, sharper, and far more personalized. For the first time, the audience witnesses how different travelers experience the stones not as a single magical force, but as a network of ancient signals with rules, warnings, and responsibilities. And the biggest clue of all comes from Brianna and Roger. When they each hear the stones humming from miles away, most viewers were caught up in the emotional moment, but the real secret lies in the differences in the way they hear the call. Roger describes a heavy, echoing vibration, like a deep drum reverberating through the earth. Brianna hears something entirely different, a high ringing sound, sharp and urgent, like a bell cutting through the air. These two frequencies are not random, they are codes. Codes based on lineage, destiny, and the role each traveler is meant to play. For Brianna, the ringing call is tied to her bloodline. She is Claire's daughter, descendant of powerful time sensitives, a bridge between worlds. Her frequency is high because her connection is strong, pure, and genetically aligned. The stones recognize her instantly. They don't just call for her, they activate for her. Roger, meanwhile, hears the deeper echo because he represents a different kind of connection, a traveler by choice, not by ancestry. His ability is not inherited, but awakened. The stones speak to him through resonance rather than instinct. He doesn't belong to the timeline by birth, but he earns his place through love. His deeper tone symbolizes the weight of that choice. This difference also hints at something fans rarely discuss. The stones call each person according to what the future demands of them. Brianna is meant to prevent disaster. Roger is meant to steady those who walk between worlds. This idea becomes even clearer in Season 5, when Brianna is pulled back through time to save her parents from a deadly fire, an event she learns about from a newspaper clipping written years before her birth. The stones don't just allow her to respond, they guide her. The frequency she hears becomes sharper, almost piercing, pulling her toward the past with purpose. This is no longer a simple crossing. This is an alert, a warning, a countdown, embedded within the stone's call, and for the first time, viewers see the beginning of what can only be described as the Stone Code Network, a web of signals spanning continents, reacting to shifts in fate and fractures in the timeline. The stones are not passive monuments waiting for someone to touch them. They are active guardians, vibrating with danger signals, fate signals, and lineage signals. Season 4 hints at it. Season 5 confirms it. The stones aren't just opening doors, they're communicating across time, coordinating the survival of the Fraser family, and the network is only growing stronger. Season 6 quietly drops one of the most unsettling stone clues in the entire series, and most fans didn't even realize it happened. For the first time since Season 1, the stones stop speaking. The hum that once called to Claire vanishes. The vibrations she could sense even from a distance fade, and the eerie part, Claire doesn't question it, not fully. She assumes the silence is her own distraction, her own trauma. The noise of war creeping closer. But this silence isn't emotional, it's supernatural. In earlier seasons, the stones react whenever a timeline is bending, distorting, or approaching a fracture point. The hum calls travelers to the right moment. The pull encourages interventions, saving Jamie, saving Brianna, correcting fires, preventing deaths, redirecting fate. The stones are noisy when time is unstable, but in Season 6, we enter a different pattern. The stones fall completely quiet. No warnings, no pulses, no whispers under the wind. This silence is not an absence, it's a reset, a system reboot. Something in the timeline has grown too chaotic, too volatile, too unpredictable, and the stones retreat into stillness to realign. In the same way the body shuts down non-essential functions during trauma, the stones shut down communication so they can brace for what's coming. If earlier seasons revealed codes of calling and warning, Season 6 reveals a new code entirely. Silence means inevitable danger. Danger so large, so heavy, the stones cannot guide, only wait. This is why Claire's abilities feel muted. Her intuition seems clouded. Her sense of energy, once sharp and responsive, seems dulled. Fans thought this was because she was overwhelmed by war or consumed by her own internal battles. But the truth is far more chilling. The stones stop speaking when fate is locked. Season 6 is the calm before a supernatural storm, where the timelines are tightening, folding, knotting in ways that no travelin, or even Claire, could alter. The stones recognize incoming devastation long before humans do. They feel the pressure, the imbalance, the fracture points forming across continents, and they wait. Their silence stretches like held breath. When they speak again, the message will not be subtle, it will be urgent, loud, overpowering, because the stones know that. Season 7 will ignite everything. Season 7 shatters the silence with a force that fans felt but didn't decode. After an entire season of stillness, the stones erupt into activity, louder, clearer, and more connected than ever before. This is the moment where every scattered clue from seasons 1 through 6 converges, clicking into place like an ancient lock finally opening. The first sign comes from Mandy, whose connection to the stones is instantaneous and instinctive. She doesn't need to touch them. She doesn't even need to be nearby. She senses them in her body, her dreams, her heartbeat. Mandy is the first character who doesn't just hear the stones, she understands them on a primal frequency. Her reaction proves something monumental. The stones communicate through bloodlines. And Mandy's is the strongest yet. Then there's Roger. His pull is no longer directional. It's multidimensional. He feels the stones vibrating across time, across entire continents, across emotional boundaries. It's as though time itself is stretching toward him, trying to reel him back into place. The deeper echo he heard in Season 4 becomes an unignorable force. Meanwhile, Brianna begins dreaming of stone circles, dreams that feel like warnings more than visions. She sees them glowing, shifting, humming in rhythmic waves. Her body reacts even when her mind doesn't understand the message. It's the same high-frequency call from Season 4, but multiplied, amplified, sharpened to urgency, and then, Claire. Her echo returns, soft at first, like a memory, then louder, more persistent. The stones are calling her again, not with panic, not with force, but with purpose. This isn't the frantic pull of Season 1 or the guiding hum of Season 3. This is something else. This is synchronization. For the first time ever, the stones call the entire Fraser family at once. Different frequencies, different intensities, same destination. The timelines are pulling together like strands of a single thread, tightening toward one point, a convergence event. The hum, the dreams, the sensations, the echoes. They are no longer individualized warnings. They are a summons. Season 7 reveals that the stones aren't calling Claire, or Roger, or Brianna, or Mandy. They're calling all of them, not as travelers, not as individuals, but as a legacy. A legacy tied to the survival of time itself. Season 8 will finally unveil the truth. The stones have been whispering across every era, every season, and every crossing. For years, fans believed the stones were portals, magical doorways, transporting travelers through time's currents. But Season 8 is poised to flip that belief on its head. The stones were never designed to move people through time. They were designed to protect time. Every hum was a warning. Every pull was a correction. Every vibration was a message. The stones have not been reacting to travelers. The travelers have been reacting to the stones. This redefines everything Claire has ever experienced. Her first crossing wasn't an accident, it was an intervention. Her return to Jamie wasn't fate, it was alignment. Brianna's crossing wasn't a rescue, it was a correction. Roger's pull wasn't destiny, was necessity. Mandy's sensitivity isn't a gift, it's an activation. Season 8 brings all of these threads together as the stones deliver their final and greatest message. Message meant not for the Fraser family lineage, not for their descendants, but for Claire herself. She is the decode. Her life forms the central circle. Her choices form the pattern. Her crossings form the map, and everything, the first shock in Season 1, the violent hum in Season 2, the gentle pull in Season 3, the warnings in Seasons 4 and 5, the silence in Season 6, the synchronized call in Season 7 has been leading her to a single moment. The moment she must decide whether to complete the circle or break it. If Claire completes the circle, time resets. If she breaks it, time fractures. The stones want her to understand one thing: her destiny is not to travel, her destiny is to choose. The hidden stone codes were never about the mechanics of time travel, they were about the architecture of fate. And in Season 8, the stones will finally reveal the truth they've carried for centuries. Claire was never chosen by the stones, she was created for them. And so, after 8 seasons, decades of love, loss, war, and miracles, the truth finally rises from the stones themselves. The hums weren't accidents. The pulls weren't the coincidences. The warnings weren't random. Every sound, every vibration, every crossing was part of a language older than clans, kingdoms, or even time itself, a language whispered only to those destined to hear it. Claire wasn't just a traveler. Jamie wasn't just a lover wading through centuries. Brianna, Roger, Mandy, they weren't just caught in fate's storm. They were the thread. The family the stones chose not to guide, but to protect. Because the truth is this: time doesn't break on its own. It breaks when people do, and the Fraser family, through blood, through love, through sacrifice, held the timeline together every time it began to crack. Season 8 doesn't end with a crossing. It doesn't end with a loss. It doesn't even end with destiny fulfilled. It ends with clarity. Claire finally understands why she was chosen, why the stones called only when she needed them, why the hum changed with every heartbreak and every victory. The stones weren't testing her. They were teaching her. Every crossing wasn't about where she was going. It was about who she was becoming, and in the final moment, whether she stands before the stones, or walks into Jamie's arms, or looks into the eyes of her children, we see the truth at last. Claire was never meant to follow the stones. She was meant to finish what they started. The hidden stone codes weren't about travel. They were about understanding. And now, she finally does. The screen fades. The hum quiets. The story doesn't close. It echoes. Across time. Across generations. Across every love that refuses to die, because in Outlander, the stones don't just move people. They keep the heart of the story alive forever.